In 2006, Sonic the Hedgehog was turning 15, and most fans try to forget about that anniversary for obvious reasons. However, a lot of people tend to forget that a good game did actually come from this year, and it was an extreme airborne/racing hybrid. The game in question is Sonic Riders. So get your cool kid shit on because it's time to get extreme!
What do you think that will look like?
Alright, let's dive into the world of Sonic once again. Last time I visited this series, I reviewed Sonic Unleashed for the channel's 1000 subscriber special. I do plan on reviewing other games in the series, but for now, we have a pair of racing games here that stand out from other well-known racing games out there. So without further ado, let's begin the video by tackling Sonic Riders. This game was released in 2006 for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, and PC. It has received mixed reviews, which is understandable. The game opens up with an anime-style FMV, and that music! This is a perfect cutscene to get you pumped. The story is that a band of thieves known as the Babylon Rogues steal a Chaos Emerald. Sonic and his friends try, and fail, to chase them down. The next morning, Eggman announces that Shadow the Hedgehog is a... No, don't worry, I'm not going to make that joke. The next morning, Eggman announces that he is hosting an extreme gear racing tournament known as the X World Grand Prix. The price of admission is a Chaos Emerald, and whoever performs the best overall wins the tournament.
Well, I never imagined anyone would enter the race with such a piece of junk.
Why does that laugh make Waves sound like Project Melody? So the game begins and, wow, okay, this is a lot to take in on very short notice. I clearly don't know what I'm doing, so let's watch the tutorial FMV. Okay, so this video is pretty helpful, but not that much. Alright, guess I'm gonna have to figure everything else out on my own. So the game auto-accelerates, allowing you to focus on everything else going on. Holding the jump button gives you more airtime to perform tricks in order to fill up this meter. It represents how much air is left in your gear. Think of it as like gas for your car. If you run out, you have to run on foot until you either approach a jump or fill up in a pit area. If you don't stick the landing, you won't get any air, and you'll receive a rank C. Each rank determines how much air you get. The ranks are C, B, A, AA, S, SS, and X. You can boost as well, but don't go hog wild because it consumes a lot of air. You can use the triggers to drift around tight corners. Shortcuts are everywhere in this game. If you're taking the normal, boring route every lap, you're doing it wrong. There are shortcuts for specific character types, shortcuts you can normally take to gain an edge on the competition, and even shortcuts you can jump up to if you pull back on the left stick while jumping. This game implements the Heroes formula in that there are certain paths each character can take depending on their type, all of which refill your air. Speed characters can grind on rails, flying characters can fly through rings, and power characters can punch away objects. This makes them incredibly OP. Honestly, I find myself playing as Knuckles a lot because of this. There are 5 tracks to start off, but you can unlock 11 more. However, most of these tracks are just palette swaps. The story progression is simple. Win each race, and you're done. However, each race gets tougher and opponents get tougher as well. After 6 races, the hero story ends, but like the games that preceded this one, the story doesn't end there. The Babylon story is now available, and it's essentially the same story just told from the Babylon Rogues perspective. You play as the Babylon Rogues and race across slightly different versions of the tracks. There is, however, one extra track at the end of the game. It's revealed that there's a giant genie guarding the treasure of Babylon, so Sonic and company fight the genie to escape the digital dimension. We then discover a magic carpet that was fabricated using extreme gear material. The game then splits and the game is over. But it doesn't end there. The story may be wrapped up, but we have a ton of other things to do. In the World Grand Prix mode, you race through 5 tracks in a row, competing in the Heroes Cup and the Babylon Cup. Finishing first overall unlocks the Sega-themed tracks. Beating Story mode also unlocks the Boss Race and Digital Dimension, an illusional track that starts in Hell, then flings you into Heaven, and finally warping into Purgatory, then back to Hell for Lap 2. There is a multiplayer mode for up to 4 players, but as you can see, I have so many friends. If you happen to be a Larry Loner, you can play Tag mode. This split-screen game has you team up with the CPU and reach the goal before the opposing team, while you and your teammate play tug-of-war. If one of you runs away, you get electrocuted and have to wait until your teammate catches up. Not fun. This game also has a battle mode, but it sucks. In addition, we also have missions. Complete objectives to earn emblems and unlock more missions. Getting gold on every mission unlocks Supersonic. His air runs on rings and he has every type, making him broken AF. Completing every mission unlocks 3 characters from other Sega franchises. Ai from Super Monkey Ball, Ooh La La from Space Channel 5, and Knights, who is completely silent. You can also purchase more gear at the shop using the rings you collected in the races. The cutscenes are mostly in-game, with 3 FMVs included, all of which you can replay in the extras menu. So that's really all I can say about this game. It is fun, but damn is it hard. That's the main problem with this game. The AI difficulty, combined with the very steep learning curve, makes this game unnecessarily brutal. In a lot of cases, I can't even recommend it because it's not a game you can pick up and play. You really have to study the intricacies of this game in order to understand how to play it. Despite this game being good, it is not for everyone. Sonic Riders gets 6 out of 10. Keep in mind, that's a pretty weak 6. If it was more accessible to newcomers, I would give it a 7, but sadly, it isn't. Make no mistake though, this is still a good game. It's just really difficult to learn, and that was its major problem. The sequel, on the other hand, dialed it way down. Perhaps too far down. Let's talk about Sonic Riders Zero Gravity. Hold on! It's time for an obligatory call to action! I couldn't help but notice that over 97% of you are not subscribed. I don't give a fuck. The button is there. Only click it if this is the content you're looking for. Okay, let's get back to the review. Sonic Riders Zero Gravity was released in 2008 for the PlayStation 2 and Nintendo Wii, months before Sonic Unleashed. Essentially, Zero Gravity is the same as Riders, except way simpler. Perhaps too simple. Where Riders felt like I was left to figure everything out on my own, Zero Gravity feels like suddenly the game is holding my hand. Not a good start. The story, this time around, sees our heroes discovering some ancient stones known as the Arcs of the Cosmos, which can be used to manipulate gravity. The Meteotech robots go berserk as a result of these stones crashing onto the planet. Wait, is it Meteotech or Meteortech? Game? Choose! The races have really dialed back in terms of complexity. Tricks are automatically performed based on the timing of your jump, the gears accelerate slower, and you can't drift. Instead, you get around tight corners by warping gravity. Holding B while turning gets you around the corner faster. Letting go sends you flying in the direction you are facing. If you hold the R trigger in a straightaway, you can use what's called a Meteor Burst, allowing you to fly in the air at blazing speeds. You can go even faster by ricocheting off objects. Rings can be used to initiate what's called a gear change. You can increase your top speed, extend your gravity meter, and unlock that board's type. Yeah, you don't have it immediately. You have to upgrade your gear on the fly. Not a fan of it, but I don't mind. Now here's my problem with the game's story. It is told like a traditional Sonic the Hedgehog story. What I mean by that is that this isn't some World Grand Prix we're competing in. Yet we still do 3-lap races as if it was a World Grand Prix. This is gonna sound weird, but I feel like they should have taken an F-Zero GX-esque approach. Try saying that 3 times fast. In that the game provides exclusive tracks in the story. That way, trying to get from point A to point B makes more sense than do 3 laps in an allotted time. Just a thought. Speaking of the World Grand Prix, this mode needs to be unlocked because you race 6 tracks in a row rather than 5. Like the first game, the story doesn't end after beating the hero's story. We also have the Babylon story, and this time the tracks are actually somewhat different, as opposed to just being palette swaps. Here's something interesting. In the Meteor level, you are chasing Amy in the Babylon story. Or are you? Because you actually play as Amy and run away from Storm. In the Babylon story. This makes absolutely no sense.
That would be like if Sonic Adventure 2 had you fight as Tails against Eggman in both stories. Why did they do this?
Anyway, after the 6th race, surprise surprise, the game is not over. Turns out the arcs of the cosmos warp gravity by creating mini black holes, which is revealed to be the lightless black that assaulted the Divine Wings, an interstellar spaceship that crash-landed on Sonic's planet a long time ago. Spoiler alert, that aforementioned ship is Babylon Garden. The Meteor leader steals all 5 arcs of the cosmos and uses them to turn Babylon Garden into a weapon of mass destruction. A black hole is created, and it begins to tear the planet apart. Now Sonic and friends must trek to Babylon Garden and take out the final boss, the Master Core Abyss? Who the fuck knows how to pronounce it? Hit him 6 times and the game is won. Whoever named this track deserves a raise. The track is called Mobius Strip because the shape of the track is, well, a Mobius Strip. It's also very excellent wordplay in that Sonic's planet is called Mobius, and it's being stripped by a black hole. Oh, shut up, it's clever. Anyway, like the first game, you start with 5 tracks, but can unlock 11 more by beating the story. Missions and extra characters and gears return. Getting the extreme rank on every mission unlocks Super Sonic. This time around, he sucks. There's one mission in the Gigan Rocks that allows you to collect a bunch of rings, making gear shopping less tedious. Silver and Blaze can now be unlocked after beating the story. This time around, the 3 Sega characters that make a cameo are Knights, returning from Riders, who is still silent, Amigo from Samba de Amigo, and Billy Hatcher. Really? Why not Rystar, or Alex Kidd, or Arl Naja from the Puyo Puyo series? Also, why didn't they include console-exclusive characters? Like, maybe the PS2 version could have had Ratchet and Clank, Sly Cooper, and Crash Bandicoot. Then the Wii version could have Mario, Link, and maybe Kirby. I don't know. All I'm saying is that there are better options out there.
Now, there is one elephant in the room that I have to address. It involves Dr. Eggman.
Do you think you can beat me?
Your ears did not deceive you. That was Dean Bristow. You see, Sonic Team started development on the first game shortly after his passing in 2005. As tribute, his voice lines from the adventure games were used as Eggman's gameplay dialogue as a neat little Easter egg. That was cool, but at the same time, strange. Because in the story cutscenes, Eggman is voiced by Mike Pollock. Now, this isn't a big deal in the first game, but in Zero Gravity, it is. Dialogue from the first game was carried over, meaning Dean Bristow's recycled clips made their way into Zero Gravity, making the Easter egg even more awkward because Mike Pollock had to record some extra gameplay lines for Eggman. So now Eggman is voiced by both Dean Bristow and Mike Pollock when you play as him.
So while this game established some quality of life improvements compared to the first, it feels like it became a bit too simple as a result. I definitely beat this game before Riders as a kid because the simplicity helped me better understand how the game is played, which, in a sense, is a good thing. However, where Riders felt too hard at times, Zero Gravity felt too easy. The good still outweighs the bad, but it's still not a game I can recommend.
The game is worth it for the soundtrack alone. The music was co-composed by, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing these names, Kenichi Tokoi and Fumi Kumatani, who also worked on other Sonic OSTs. I fucking loved this game's main theme song, Ungravify by Cashel. It is my second favorite Sonic song of all time. But other than that, I feel like this game sits on par with its predecessor. Sonic Riders Zero Gravity gets a pretty weak 6 out of 10.
I really do wish there was something here that would warrant a 7, but unfortunately the game is just too simple and, in a lot of cases, boring. You know what game isn't boring? Ratchet Deadlocked. I can't wait to dive back into the Ratchet & Clank series and get my hands on... Ow! What the... Sonic Free Riders? Fuck!
Yep, we're not done. Sonic Free Riders was released in 2011 exclusively for the Xbox 360, making this the first and only HD Riders game. This game incorporates the Kinect peripheral. Now, I actually tested a couple games prior to playing Free Riders, and the results were 50-50. Kinect Sports actually worked really well, even with the very little space I had around me. Wipeout in the Zone, on the other hand...
Clean sweep. Really? Looked like a dirty one to me. Ooh, he takes a big hit from the sweeper arm.
Yeah, it didn't work.
I'm John Henson saying good night and big balls.
So, I'm already cautious with this game. Also, not a single person has said anything positive about this game.
So, the red flags are definitely out there, but I'm gonna give the game a shot, and who knows? Maybe this will be another Kinect Sports where it actually does really well with the device you're using, and it's something I can recommend.
Okay, it's shit. For starters, this tutorial just does not work. Menu navigation using the Kinect mic? Forget it. I'm saying next, and the game sees that, but it does nothing.
You know what? Screw this. I don't need no goddamn tutorial. Let's jump right into this game's story mode.
The story is King Doc, who is totally not Eggman, is hosting another World Grand Prix, with the prize being a shit ton of treasure. That's it. That's the game. You play as 4 teams in a total of 6 missions and 4 races. It's the bare minimum here. Beating every story unlocks the final story. A final race is held and everybody races each other one last time. You play as Sonic throughout this story, no surprises there. After that race, King Doc reveals that he is Dr. Eggman. Oh my god, I totally did not see that coming. Using his new gear that he built using the data he collected, he challenges everybody to a final race. After winning that race, the blue generic robot is revealed to be Metal Sonic. Christ. So Sonic races Metal one-on-one in a final race. Then, the game is over. Finally.
It sounds like we all managed to have fun.
Speak for yourself, motherfucker!
Okay, so I actually figured out what was wrong with the voice commands. Turns out saying a certain menu selection only highlights that option. Then you have to say select. Nowhere does the game tell you that this is what you have to do.
I also noticed one glaring flaw with this game. When you're standing like this, the Kinect can't see your back foot, which leads to it guessing where it is, causing unwanted inputs, such as boosting. So, I have a theory. What if you spread your legs out enough so the Kinect can see both of your feet?
Well, it doesn't completely remedy that problem, but it at least functions a little bit now. I think if I go any further, I will throw up. Not to mention, if you're somebody like me and you're playing this game where the only thing separating your feet from a hard cement basement floor is a shitty thin carpet, this game will murder your legs and back from all the leaning and jumping you have to do. This is hands down one of the worst games I have ever played. Thank God I only spent $9 on this, because $60 back in 2011, on top of the $150 the Kinect cost, would have been an absolute ripoff. Sonic Free Riders gets 2 out of 10.
This game is pretty terrible. But it's not worse than... Oh god, no! So that was a rather undeserved ending to the Riders series, as 10 years later, we still have not gotten a new game. I know fan projects exist, but let's be real, Sonic games are always being fixed by fans. So now that we've ripped that band-aid off, we are now going back into the Ratchet series to tackle Deadlocked. I'll see you there.